Hey, welcome back. So I'm going to talk about the book again a little bit more. Big Magic. It's pretty short too. It was only I listened to it on Audible, and it was only 5 hours long. So I finished it in a week, which is nice. Compared to War and Peace, which is 60 hours, I'm only like halfway through. And I can't even listen to it on ×2 speed because of that freaking British guy. Balkanski. So the book is interesting because the writer obviously has some kind of anxiety, but she doesn't have social anxiety, because she's constantly talking about like her friends. Like, she has a million friends. 90% of the book is her experiences with, like, oh, I had a friend who did this, and I had a friend who did that, and oh, I was married once, and I got divorced, and I was married again, and my husband did this. And it's like, okay, I mean, it is a little bit hard for me to relate to those kinds of people, because I'm like, if you could do all that, then how can you not even put a book out? That's like so much less than like getting married and talking to people. Who cares about the book? A book is easy. You don't even have to see. You just write it and you put it out, and you don't have to talk to anybody. I had a friend who was a painter, and I had a friend who was a famous writer. It must be nice. So I do think that we, as social anxiety people, have an extra layer of anxiety on top of all the other anxieties that she's talking about that we have to deal with, which is just interacting with people in general, how to overcome that part. The book doesn't really help with that. I guess it does say, like, well, be creative and it'll help you, but I think if you're like me, I don't know, you just have to see a therapist and take medicine. There's nothing else that's gonna work. You can't, like, force your way out of it. So reading the book, that was a little bit of a frustration that I had, because I'm like, we have an extra thing to deal with that she doesn't even know about. If we want to be creative, it's harder. It's just like an extra layer of anxiety that she doesn't know about. So we've got to jackhammer through that layer first to even get where she starts in the beginning of the book, because she's like, oh, I'm nervous when I have to write. And she gives a lot of good advice about how to overcome that. Can I think of, I don't know if I wrote anything down. I laughed every time she said, I had a friend. Like, how many friends can a person have? At a certain point, I don't think they're even a friend. What did you know them for, like, a week? That's my joke. I'm just getting frustrated with people who have friends. Oh, my friend. Ooh, I did this with my friend. Ooh, 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 ooh. I got so many friends. Calm down. I like the... oh no. No. My interestingness, I have a fear... fearlessness. Well, that's a good point. Did I want to finish the other one? Talk about fear. Fear is the mind killer. Trying to think, I should have wrote something down, like an example of what to do to help you overcome the fear. I don't know, most of the book I felt like she was trying to tell you, like, just don't take yourself so seriously and just put bad stuff out there. Oh, a really big thing, like a major theme of the book is this idea that she kind of anthropomorphizes creativity and makes it like this spiritual entity in the universe that visits you. I think if you're a creative person, that's definitely helpful because it takes pressure off you, and it's just like you're just kind of like a vessel for creativity, or like a creative idea. You're a vessel for a creative idea. And guess what? Like, you're not the only vessel. So like, if you don't make that book, somebody else, the idea will leave you and it will go into somebody else. So like, don't put so much pressure on yourself, like you have to make this book or you have to make this thing. If you don't feel it, then maybe it's not your project to make or whatever, which is kind of an interesting idea. But it doesn't really, I don't care because I'm not creative. So I'm not going to make like a movie. Oh, I think this is interesting because, okay, so you can tell which pegs are phased out and which aren't. So like, this one is real, but this one isn't. But then if I hit it while it's phased out, I think it goes away. So that's kind of cool. So like, these ones will still go away when I phase back in. Is that true? Oh wow, I got another one. But you planned it. I planned that, chat. So those ones are gone. Oh wow, another go. It might just ghost forever now. Is this a glitch? That's gotta be the last one. No? What happened? I think I'm glitching. Whatever, I'll take it. Anything else about Big Man? Oh yeah, I had another note. Fearless people are sociopaths. That's something she said, and I've always thought that. People who have no fear are crazy, and they're horrible people. Courage is not fearlessness, you know that. Solving the Steven Crowder problem. This is always the thing that I think of, like, every time I start to get more confident or more fearless, I'm like, but Steven Crowder is confident and he's fearless and he's a terrible person, so why would I want to be like that? So here's the solution. Keep fear. Don't be afraid to be afraid. The only thing we have to fear is not being fearful. Keeping fear but always overcoming it, not forgetting it or rationalizing it into nothingness. Make space for fear, don't kill it. And that's the point that she kind of iterated in her book. Iterated? I don't know. That, like, she made this analogy of, like, your life is a car. You're driving a car, and you and creativity are in the front seat, and you're making all those decisions, and you need to make fear sit in the back seat like a kid, and like, you can still listen to it because it's like, it's your kid and it's important, but your kid doesn't decide where you go. You decide where you go. You decide which highway to take. You decide which trip to make. The kid doesn't drive. The kid is fear. Fear can't drive. You can never let fear drive. But fear is an important part of your family. And it's necessary to avoid becoming Steven Crowder. Because Steven Crowder is not afraid of hurting people, being racist. He doesn't care. He's not afraid. At one point, maybe he was afraid, but he overcame it. He overcame his fear. I don't want to overcome my fear. I want to keep it with me. That's the point I was trying to make like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And she kind of solidified it. Oh, I lost. For me. I have a fear. Is what I'm going to say possibly be hurtful to someone? That's a good fear. Thank you so much, fear. I will take that into consideration. But you're still not driving me. I'm driving. Fear is the boring, non-original child, not the smart adult. Fear kind of disguises itself as intelligence and high-minded erudicity. I don't know. Fear pretends to be smart when it's really dumb. I mean dumb in the sense that, like, I mean, sometimes fear is good, right? You're afraid of fire. Okay, good. But it's still dumb. That fear is still dumb. Because it's like an instant thing that you feel. It takes no intelligence to be afraid of fire. Like, you just know, oh, that's hot. I shouldn't touch it. You're not smart for not touching fire. Everybody who did touch fire is dead, so those people don't even exist. If you, I mean, it is interesting, like if you are a fire breather or something, like you're one of those people who eat fire, that's interesting. You're overcoming your fear in an interesting way. Some people would say you're stupid because it's like so obviously dangerous, but they're being creative. I don't know. I would never do that, but that's just because it's like, oh, who am I trying to impress with this? Okay, that's it. So I've solved it. I've solved the Steven Crowder problem. Always keep fear with you. Never abolish it in your cabinet or whatever. In your constitution. Always keep it with you. It's Inside Out. Everything is Inside Out. Stupid movie. Fear is important. It's an important part of your personality, but it can't drive. Because if it does, it's gonna either not just gonna drive you back home, or it's gonna drive you off a cliff. Those are the two things it'll do. So you can't let it drive. You can listen to it. If the kid in the back seat's like, look out, the car in front of you is hitting on its brake, and like you don't really notice it at first, and you're like, oh yeah, thank you, fear, for telling me that the car in front of me, so I can stop. But then we stop, and then fear in the back seat's like, okay, I didn't know that this car stopping thing was happening. Like, we gotta get out of here. Let's go back home where cars don't stop in front of you. And you're like, no, we have somewhere to go. We can't go back. That's how it works. Steven Crowder crashes into cars because he doesn't have fear. Does that make sense? I'm feeling pretty good about that. Like, understanding how that works. Whatever. See you tomorrow.